Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation.
What is up, guys? Welcome to Truth and Transparency. Delphi is on. I don't even know what to say about Delphi right now, but we're going to talk about it. Myself, alongside here, Miss Bella. Ooh, what is this? Okay. Oh, thank you. You. Again, welcome to the transparency. Whoa. Just looking through my mail this morning. I got some guy that wants to come out and do my vent cleaning. Funny. No thanks. That's where I keep all the money hidden. In the vents. Again, good morning, everybody. What is good? Bella has joined us. We're going to be talking about Delphi. Well, I kind of want to work backwards here in a weird way because holy shit. Take a look. Richard Allen's third Frank's notice and request for Frank's hearing based upon newly discovered evidence and request for findings of facts and conclusions of law upon any ruling on this request. OMG. Literally OMG. You guys, we got more suppressed shit. Let's take a look. Comes now the accused Richard Allen by and through counsel and files his third Frank's notice and request for Frank's hearing based upon newly discovered evidence. In support of said motion, the accused states the following. Again, this is newly discovered evidence. On September 18, 2023, the defense filed its first Frank's notice, which consisted of a 136-page memorandum. We know all that. Number 2, the defense incorporates the contents of the first Frank's notice and memorandum into this document. On October 3rd, 2023, the defense filed its second Frank's notice. Dealing with how the prosecution and law enforcement had attempted to conceal the identity of a Purdue professor whose testimony contradicted that of law enforcement officers Tony Liggett and Jerry Holman. This notice was provided as a supplement to the first Frank's notice in order to bolster the defense contention that the state of Indiana and law enforcement were acting intentionally and or with reckless disregard of the truth to further support the request for a Franks hearing. The defense incorporates the contents of its second Franks notice filed on October 3rd with this one. Now, after Franks 1 and 2 were filed, just before the defense was kicked off the case in October of 2023, the defense received certain geofencing evidence. Woohoo, daddy. Come on down, baby. I love geofencing. Yeah, baby. You know, it's really ironic because I swear it was Gray Hughes talking about that geofencing. I think it was Kelsey that actually was the first person to kind of mention that with Gray Hughes back in the day. Again, welcome to the transparency. Welcome members, lurkers, subscribers, and those motherfucking mods that make it so happen in the chat. Remember just to be kind to one another, talk about whatever you want in the chat, so long as we're talking about this. Have your opinions, because if you don't have an opinion, then you are a follower. And I'm not down with that. So you should have a say. And when this is all said and done, or if you feel that you're going some type of way with the video already, thumbs it up, share it. If you don't like it, thumbs it down and say, go spend your time elsewhere. That's what I would do. Moving on. Just after the defense was reinstated on the case in January. So we got this geofencing, but it did not have the opportunity to fully examine, explore, or discuss with its experts because, remember, they were kicked off the case. So right when they were back reinstated on this case, it received certain discovery in the form of a September 22, 2023 report authored by Jerry motherfucking Holman. Oh, Jer Bear. It was purportedly memorializing in an interview Holman, had with a former Purdue professor named Jeffrey Turco. Both the geofencing evidence and Holman's September 22nd, 2023 report provide new information that supports the defense request for a Franks hearing. So this is the new parts. Specifically, the defense received certain geofencing evidence that at least 3 persons were in or around the crime scene at a time while the murders were taking place. Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! I can't breathe. Welcome.
Thanks.
Bella, did you just wake up?
What?
You
East Coast time over here. What
you
the hell?
guys.
Do you see this?
Guys.
Talk about the third Franks and the bomb drops.
I mean, God, you know what I just love?
What?
I want to put Gray Hughes on my show right now. Hit the link, Gray Hughes. I want to put on Jennifer Coffindaffer. I want to put on where are all you Delphi haters out there? This is some wild stuff.
I love it. No, don't say Delphi haters. Say Baldwin and Ross.
I was gonna say truth hate. Like, well, just how about no constitutional haters.
Yeah.
Innocent until proven guilty. Okay.
Yes.
Innocent until proven guilty. So where you at? Okay. Come on. Let's go. Hop on my big titties and ride on in.
Like a sleigh.
Like, are you kidding me? Number 8 coming in with the sledgehammer. Peter Gabriel, man.
Oh, the sledgehammer.
Sledgehammer.
Nice.
Come on. If you don't know, you need to know. That's my boy. You guys. Specifically, the defense received certain geofencing evidence. This is Karen Reed, man.
What I tell you.
This is a Karen Reed case.
Beyond that, even this is Drake. This is everything me and you've been doing in the last, I would say, week and a half for Drake's case. Keep going.
Drake's case, this has been since July.
No. But this particular, just wait till
Oh,
you
yeah.
get to this.
I get what you're saying about like the whole like
Yes.
me doing Drake's movements that day.
No. Keep going. You're gonna get it right when you get to it. It's the thing that it's like kind of the Avista with Drake's case. It's kind of like that. Keep going. You're gonna get to it.
Okay, so check this out. We're going to get to it.
It's big.
You guys.
It just gave me chill. Do you not hear me squealing all the way up and down this house all morning?
Yeah, I was wondering. I thought maybe you were like
Don't say
doing
it.
like Cindy Crawford workout or something.
Oh, like
Like flex my buns,
Pilates?
like flex my buns, 1980s.
That wasn't that Suzanne Summers?
I don't know. Yeah. Oh yeah. What was that called?
Thigh Master.
Thigh Master. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
Mhm.
All right. Back to the game. This geofencing evidence would provide evidence of any of the following scenarios.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh
So
God.
good.
Oh God. Okay. Scenario number
Okay.
1. Just in case you guys are wondering what my evidence package was here. Okay. I just want to make sure nobody's calling the police on me. Okay. All right. We don't need any of that crap. What I have right here is a game I'm going to play with all of you guys.
Turn it around. Turn it around.
Okay. I'm going to play a game with all of you guys. And for my birthday, which is on March 19th.
Which is 5 days, right?
Yeah. I went out and purchased unsolved case file. And I'm putting us on a timer. And we have 2 hours to solve the case. So if you want to join me, but this is what I got for us. It's a cold case, never been opened.
Jane Doe.
It's a Jane Doe case.
Oh boy.
And I'll be opening it here on the show. I'll be using Hatch of the Projector. It's interactive. You guys are with me. It's like we're in an escape room for 2 hours. All right. And we got to solve the case. So we're going to see how good we are.
Mhm.
All right. If you've played before, take your happy ass out because I don't like cheaters. Okay. Now, Rise and Grind said she thought that those were boxers. She thought I got boxers delivered.
Why? What did it look like when you got it out?
I
How?
didn't
It was
want
so
people to
flat.
see that it was an evidence file. And Lana's like, oh, see, Lana is getting
Right,
Lana's
true.
got some,
True. Not good timing. For
Yeah.
man to come. Okay, so go on.
Okay, so here we are. These
Right,
are the scenarios. Scenario A. Those persons walking with the phones are witnesses that would have observed the murders as they were taking place, and none of them have identified Richard Allen.
Listen to how you guys. I can't with these lawyers. They are amazing. Alan Jackson, watch out! My favorite spots might be getting overtaken by these men.
I know. I just love smart people, man. I love non-lazy fucks, man. This was
And
work.
truth- and
work.
Truth seekers.
Yeah, truth
People
seekers
that
aren't
don't
lazy.
care how they look and the lengths they have to go to get to the truth.
Yeah, like they were cock blocked the whole way, like Chris Hansen did. Remember back in the day? What was that show called? To catch a predator, and he'd bring them like
I
wine.
told you that you can have them at a party, right?
Yeah, I know. I think we're gonna have Chris Hansen
Yeah,
around.
like greet everyone when they come.
He's
in.
gonna be at CrimeCon, I think, this year in Nashville, if I'm not
Shoot,
mistaken.
Maybe then I can't get him for a party if you're
Yeah. Yeah. All
Who's
right.
available.
Back to the game.
Okay.
Or option B is those persons walking with the phones were witnesses who observed nothing as the murders did not take place the afternoon of February 13th,
Told you.
2023.
Told you.
What have we been saying?
Told you.
Boom. Are you kidding me?
Keep going. This is so good.
But the victims were taken to the crime scene after the search was called off.
Called off, guys. Called off. Lawyers putting it down that the search was called off.
You know, I'm going to have to rewind it so people could see what we talked about just a couple days ago. We didn't know this existed.
This just got dropped in the AM.
We came out here a couple days ago and I put on the record, I am still not sold that the murders happened when they're trying to say that small time frame happened. I am not sold on that.
But see, this is what
Because
I love
of the
about
evidence. Because of evidence, I'm not sold on it.
I don't know if you've gotten it yet, but I love that they put stuff in parentheses. I don't know if you got. Oh yes, it is number 8. See how it says up here, according to law enforcement timelines. I
Mhm.
just love that. I love that they did that
Mhm.
because it's like, hey, according to your evidence, all of this other geofencing stuff we have, it can't fit.
Yeah, you ignored this.
So are we going to keep your timeline? And if we aren't, then that's a problem for you guys because you've developed this timeline and based it around saying that Richard Allen is there. Now, look at what we have found. None of these people are associated with Richard Allen. They don't know him. Richard Allen doesn't have any connection to him. They go on to say that. And they don't even say they have seen Richard Allen out there. So what are you saying? I think this is amazing. This is 9 pages. We have one that's 6 pages and we have best. This is the first one you've shared so far. I can't anyway.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Yeah, do it.
Or C, those persons walking with the phones were participants in the murders. Those are your options. This geofencing evidence would provide evidence of any of the following. Any of the following. And quite possibly, if you truly think about it, it could actually be possibly two of the following. Because when it's saying any of the following, if you think about it, it could be that they were taken, away at the time, or they weren't there, but those people were there.
Sure.
And that they came back to that location, you know what I'm saying? So that was later. So I think it could actually be a couple things here.
Get to some timelines here.
I love timelines.
But listen to me. Remember how with the Drake thing, you say, and very often say this, right? It's the phone, the person that has the phone, right? Whoever is the user of the phone at this moment, like whoever was using this. That's what they're saying. We don't know if these are the owners and the users of the phone, but this is what the phones are doing.
Yeah. Okay, so said geofencing evidence was so important to somebody involved in the investigation that they created a map and plotted the movements of these persons, including movements that showed that at least one of these persons was within 60 to 100 yards of the crime scene.
You guys.
At the time while the murders would have been committed according to law enforcement timeline.
And that's a very important part of this, that they say it's according to law enforcement timelines. Because we can't go back now and say that wasn't the timeline. That's going to make the state's case look exceptionally weak. They're not going to be able to do that. Once they're married to a timeline, it's really difficult to go back and say, no, it's not the timeline.
Number 11.
Oh, here we go. Timeline.
Furthermore, the map shows that the other two phones and the persons carrying those phones were in and around the crime scene between 12:39 and 54 seconds that afternoon and 5:49 p.m. on February 13th, 2017. Look at that time right there. That to me right there. Boop, boop. Now, I want to back up right here to this part. This said geofencing evidence was so important to somebody involved in the investigation that they created a map and plotted the movements of these persons. Just to remind everybody what that means right there is that while this investigation was going on, they had this information.
True. From 2017, presumably, maybe.
Yes. And somebody did, what I did with the Drake phone.
100%.
Okay. And plotted all of it and did like a timeline of events with the phone moving. That's what they did back then. And this was buried. Okay. This is called exculpatory evidence, by the way.
I just heard a creator the other day say, we're not going to go out and say there's all these other people with all their other phones in the area. Really? We're not going to say they're between, 60 to 100 yards?
That's why they go out and get search warrants for the cell towers. That's why that's the number one thing that any investigation goes out and gets. That's the first thing they get. Just saying that. I mean, that's how important phones are to investigations.
Incredibly important.
Moving on. Number 12, that defense has sought out, but has not been provided any documents or reports that contradict or refutes said geofencing evidence, but have not found such evidence, nor has the prosecutor provided any when defense requested reports on said geofencing. Again, really important there. The defense has sought out. They tried to, this is what you were supposed to do in an investigation. You are supposed to go out there and either prove it or disprove it. You tried to make attempts to do that. And they're saying that they did, but more importantly, they also asked, in my opinion, they've asked the prosecutor to provide, additional stuff. And just that hasn't happened. Number 13 here. I just think they do such a good job of laying it all out like layman's. Like you could be in 4th grade and follow this.
I mean, don't speak for everybody. Like seriously, that's something that you've learned. I've learned.
If you've been following the case, let me back that up.
No, sometimes you have to explain like it's like you're 5.
Okay,
you do have to.
When Tony Liggett drafted his affidavit for search warrant of Richard Allen's home, Liggett concealed from Judge Diener the fact that at least 3 phones and the people using those phones were moving in and around the crime scene at times when the murders would have been taking place.
According to who?
Yeah, according to law enforcement.
There you
So
go.
this was not put in Richard Allen's probable cause, that there's these 3 other phones.
And I know that everyone says that that's because you're not trying to prove something against it, but this is exculpatory.
Well, yeah, in probable causes, you were supposed to provide, from my understanding, a fair and accurate representation
Yes.
of the events surrounding
Yes.
the
you're
crime
swearing.
scene. Yeah, you're swearing under oath to having the information that you have, and based on that information is why you believe that you have probable cause to think that this person committed the crime.
Right. So on its face, a probable cause affidavit is looked at as being true. So when you see things like this, it's disconcerting.
Okay, number 14. Tony Liggett should have notified Judge Diener that certain people who are not named Richard Allen nor connected to Richard Allen were moving in and around the crime scene at a time when Liggett claims the murders were being committed.
And why don't you go ahead and read the last sentence there that you didn't because you were like so excited, and that Richard Allen is not in any way connected with these phones. They are putting that out. Lawyers can't just say anything, right, Elo?
Well, number 15. It is reasonable to conclude that if Tony Liggett had notified Judge Diener that certain people not named Richard Allen nor connected to Richard Allen were moving in and around the crime scene, then Judge Diener would not signed the affidavit, especially based upon
the paucity.
Yes, the paucity of evidence otherwise contained in the affidavit connecting Richard Allen to the murders.
I love it. And
Which
so
again, there's nothing. Oh my God, this is unbelievable.
Well, there's a magic bullet purportedly, right?
Well, yeah,
We'll get to that.
looking more and more like it's planted.
Looking more and more like it's not so magic.
Looking more and more like it probably doesn't match because it's junk science.
Well, yeah, that's true. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, keep going.
Number 16, said geofencing. God, I love data. Said geofencing information would have provided evidence to Judge Diener that negated Richard Allen's presence at the crime scene. Liggett should have told Judge Diener that crucial, relevant, and exculpatory. There it is. Remember, exculpatory information means that you're providing information that would show that Richard Allen is not the person involved in this. That's what exculpatory means. And you are supposed to provide that to the defense. You're providing all discovery that you come across in an investigation. But if you purposely bury exculpatory evidence or evidence that would have led then to exculpatory evidence, because it would have been that chain.
Knowingly. It's knowingly buried. Yes.
Which in this situation, 100. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I will put it on the record. 100. They knowingly buried plotting points of geofencing.
Oh, they're going further with this. You guys are going to be convinced at the end of this. And I don't even know anyone that is within the sound of these attorneys' voices or their words that's going to say that they do not feel that there is something incredibly fishy here.
Yeah. And this has been available since 2017. Okay.
There you go.
So them going back to the drawing board, this is what gets me. They went back to the drawing board. That's how they found Richard Allen, so-called, that he was there because he talked to that, conservatory police officer, whatever. But you already had him ruled out, didn't you? You already had him ruled out probably because of this, right? Because his shit didn't match this. You get what I'm saying? Like,
And
now,
it's not a bad idea.
no, but now you're going to go back. Hey, we can bring this guy back in. We can bury the exculpatory evidence, okay, and patsy up this man. And that's exactly what they did. Now,
Well, they bury, they get got into office. And so I don't think that's a far stretch in that county.
so number 17. Additionally, Sergeant Jerry Holman's September 22nd, 2023 memorialization of his interview with Jeffrey, that's the professor, Turco, once again reveals that he, Jerry Holman, law enforcement Jerry Holman, attempted to deceive the reader of said report by leaving out key information and words uttered from the mouth of Turco concerning the likelihood that the sticks left behind were in fact runes. making Odinism's involvement in the murders more likely and worth investigating.
And that's really important. It's worth investigating. Definitely.
But he, again, deceived the reader of said report by leaving this out.
It goes even further, you guys. Just hold on to your pants and your seats here. They dropped it. Here it goes.
On September 22nd, 2023, Holman wrote a report in which he, Holman, failed to mention the word ruin.
Rune.
Ruin.
It's a rune.
I know. Or any derivation from that word when memorializing the words of Jeffrey Turco, the professor. Runes were a big part of Turco's interview, yet Holman chose to exclude the word rune or any derivation of that word from his report. Instead, the relevant part of Holman's report was the following.
Here we go, you guys. This is amazing. They quote this. So quote.
In quotes. I asked him, Turco, to summarize his findings, and he said they were inconclusive. In his opinion, he thought the sticks were placed deliberately, but was unsure what they meant. He said that he provided
spelt wrong.
Yeah, some educational guesses in his report. I asked him if the Odin religion practiced ritualistic human sacrifices, and he said no.
Okay.
He stated that no evidence or research indicates that religion practicing human sacrifices. He told me that if someone Google searched it, they may see that the Vikings were accused of human sacrifices.
True.
But he said that there is no proof of it.
Interesting.
I asked him if he had ever heard of ritualistic human sacrifices around here. And he said no. He told me not even in Norway, where this type of religion is more prevalent, has he heard of any ritualistic human sacrifices.
Let's just get to the facts here. No, I won't give opinions. So let's.
Okay, number 19. What Holman failed to write in this report were Jeffrey Turco's words that more strongly detailed how Odinism was likely involved in the murders due to the likelihood that the sticks were formed into
a runic script.
It's a given, and how it was very plausible that human sacrifice could be a component to said murders. So again, we're going to just back up and say, so in Jerry's report, that's what he wrote. Okay.
Everyone's just like
this is what Jerry wrote in his report. Okay.
We don't
all right.
But
in fact, number 19, the defense is saying, but what Holman failed, okay, to write in his report were Jeffrey's words that more strongly detailed how Odinism was likely involved in the murders.
I'd like to take everybody back to September when the Franks was dropped, and we saw that there was an unnamed professor that, the state or the officers couldn't tell anybody what the professor's name was, and they couldn't find it. And that the professor said, oh no, this isn't ritualistic. And everything we read was very ritualistic. And I know of Odinism, it's not called that. It's just called Norse and Viking religion, paganism. With my friends that do practice it, they don't do human sacrifices. And I was like, this is describing that clearly. And everyone wanted this guy's head. Well, turns out this guy didn't say all this stuff that Holman says he said. Poor guy. He actually said, yeah. So go on and let everyone know what he said.
Number 20, because Holman had sworn under oath in his August 10th, 2023 deposition, this is the deposition that when I said people started making phone calls and say, hey, they know, that's that time frame that I'm speaking about when the phone calls started being made to say, hey, the defense has found it. Holy shit, the defense has found it. They know.
I found what? Tell everyone who wasn't here listening to that. What did they find?
I believe that after Holman's deposition in August, that he then made some phone calls to, the people that he clearly, in my opinion, is working with and for. And he told them the defense has found the Odinism angle. The defense has found what we tried to bury. Okay. And then why I believe this way, like so strongly, is because then what took place with the whole leakage and then with the whole September, everything that started happening there for them to try to be, to get them out of here and disqualified and things like that. Because if you will notice, August 10th, the Franks didn't drop yet. Okay. So I bet you if you were to truly get a hold of this man's devices and see what the hell he did, Holman's devices after he left that, depot, his movement and actions. And I wonder if the defense tailed him. I wonder if the defense had an investigator following this man around.
Well, what I love is he just got depoted a week and a half ago again. And so all that stuff was dropped because, hey, Holman, we're holding your feet to the fire.
Okay.
I hope they did a good job of it.
Now, again, so back to 20. Because Holman had sworn under oath in his August 10th, 2023 deposition that the sticks found at the crime scene did not represent Odinism or any type of cult worshiping or any type of group that would have conducted the crime. Again, see Holman's Depot, page 63, lines 10 through 20. It was in Holman's interest to hide the actual words of Professor Jeffrey Turco concerning the likelihood that the sticks were formed as runes are specifically or significantly featured in Odinism. Jeffrey Turco's words, so this is the professor's words,
Here we go, you guys.
and information that Holman left out of his report include the following.
Now, keep in
This
mind
is
the
so sick.
paragraph Lana had just read that Holman wrote that the professor said. And what we know from the Franks that dropped, at pretty much the end of September. So keep that in mind while Lana reads you what Turco's actual words are that the defense got a hold of after asking law enforcement, hey, who is this professor? And then going, we don't know.
We don't know who he is.
We
We can't find him. Okay.
He's at Purdue somewhere.
No, they thought he was out of the state or out of the country. Remember? Here we go. Now, our letter A. After viewing the way the sticks at the crime scene were arranged, again, this is what Jeffrey's saying, were arranged. It was a given. His words were in quotes. It was a given that the pattern of sticks was someone's attempt to replicate
Germanic runic script. And let me tell you guys, from studying the sticks, it is 100%, and I have an opinion of what it actually means and says and what runes were used, but that, I don't know if I'll share it today. We might share it some.
Do you think it's weird that he put the word
Germanic? No, not at all.
Instead
of Norse or instead of Viking?
Yeah.
No, because there's different.
Libby German, right?
No.
I know. I just had to say that.
No, because what I think is Turco.
I'm messing with you.
No, I get it. But Turco's also like his background
Yes.
is a lot of like
Yes.
Germanic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. B. One of Turco's colleagues, a Harvard professor with even more expertise, agreed.
Can you
Okay.
guys believe this?
So Jeffrey went and asked somebody what they thought. All right. So we want to talk about, did he show him crime scene photo? You get what I'm trying to say?
Maybe he drew and said, hey, there's these bodies. Who knows? But sure. Okay.
But he was doing his due diligence.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's really, really key. And that's really, really important. Now, Odinism is an extreme
neo-pagan, neo-heathenism ideology that has right-wing racist connotations. And that could be just in certain, my friends aren't really right-wing racist, but okay. Brad Holder and Patrick Westphal were known to be involved in extremist racist groups.
And you guys know that one of Liberty German's favorite songs is Heathens from that group called, you don't know what that is?
I don't listen to, what is it, 21 Pilots?
Yeah, that's it, 21 Pilots.
You gotta be kidding.
Swear to God.
Like, I don't listen to those bands.
Anyways, I've just, pointing that out. Brad Holder and Patrick Westphal were known to be involved in extremist racist groups, by the way. Now, D. Again, this is still with the professors, what he's actually had said that Jerry has buried. Although he could not necessarily interpret the intended meaning of these sticks formed into runes, the stick configurations were pretty clearly runic, and that he could, quote unquote, could certainly imagine that this was somebody's idea that when you do human sacrifice, you carve runes. There are some poetic sources that would sort of support that idea that somebody might have come across that scenario seems entirely plausible to me. Again, that's Turco's taped statements at the timestamp of 15 to 1550.
Beautiful. Beautifully done, Baldwin Rossi. Gosh.
And then letter E. Furthermore, Dr. Turco discussed how runes were thought to have quote unquote magical significance and would be used in
Incantations.
yes.
Ritual. So things you speak, things you say out loud are incantations when you're doing a ritual. So like when people do, spells, that's an incantation. So in incantations and rituals, and that there is a sacrificial connection in mythological poetry. And
Yeah.
this is again from Turco's tape statement with Holman at 14 minutes, 40 seconds to 15 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, tell us about that according to police reports.
Yes. And then Turco's tape statements, like she just said, that was at that timestamp. And then they want to remind us that according to the police reports, remember, Brad Holder told Amber Holder,
his girlfriend, wife,
yep. And the wife was interviewed, and she said that Brad and Patrick, they had a falling out over something that happened in the woods near a river during a ritual.
And that is what I've been telling you guys from day one. I think the falling out, in my opinion only, had to do with how the ritual was conducted. That Brad and Patrick had not a meeting of the minds about how one wanted to do the ritual versus the other. Wasn't in taking a human sacrifice, wasn't in placement of the runes, because these things should be very specific because it's a religion to somebody and it has deep meaning. My opinion only.
In other words, here is what Holman did not write in his report.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Turco told me that, quote unquote, it was a given that the arrangement of the sticks were part of a runic script. Investigators have learned that runes are a feature of those who practice Odinism, and those who practice Odinism are sometimes aligned with racist/extremist groups. Brad Holder's son had some type of dating relationship with one of the victims, and Brad Holder was an Odinist fascinated with runes, which are found throughout his Facebook page. Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall were also affiliated with a racist/extremist groups. Also, Turco admitted that it was entirely plausible that somebody would read something on the internet indicating that Viking religions involved human sacrifice, and that same person could have an idea that when conducting a human sacrifice, runes should be carved and that the runes would have a magical significance and would be used in rituals. Brad Holder told his ex-wife that Brad and Patrick Westfall had a falling out in the woods near a river in February of 2017 due to something that happened at a ritual.
Sheesh. Now, is Amber lying? I don't know.
No.
But this is enough circumstantial. Get Amber on the stand.
Well, we'll get to that. Number 23 is, instead of including Jeffrey's words detailed in the previous paragraph, Holman wrote what Turco's findings were inconclusive and then failed to even mention the word rune even a single solitary time.
Can you guys believe this? It is there, like the Star of David is to the Jewish religion. Runes are that to Nordic, Viking, pagan religions. I've never heard it called Odinism, but go ahead, Indiana, with your bad selves.
Yep. Here we go. Number 24. If you were trying to hide Turco's actual opinion about the linkage between the stick configurations and a runic script, and the entirely plausible opinion that human sacrifice could be a component of the murders, then you would draft your report as Sergeant Holman did, as quoted from his report in paragraph 18 above.
Boom.
And now also let's talk about the fact that why would you even go and talk to him in the first place if you didn't suspect that? Like, that's, to me, is you went to him for a reason, right?
Or they went to him because somebody who was actually a good cop was like, or somebody was like, go do this, your due diligence. And then they sent Holman, who's a naughty cop.
Yeah.
And he hit it.
25. If you were trying to go ahead and read that.
25. If you're trying to provide an accurate accounting of Turco's opinion, then you would write it as written in paragraph 22, which is this stuff here. Due to Sergeant Holman's sworn testimony from his August 10th, 2023 deposition, Sergeant Holman had a lot at stake when he interviewed Turco. Ideally, in order for Holman's sworn August 10th, 2023 testimony to be true, Turco would have told Holman words to the effect of, that configuration is not runic, and therefore that arrangement does not represent Odinism or any type of cult worshiping or any type of a group that would have conducted the crime. Unfortunately for Sergeant Holman, Turco did not state words to that effect. Quite the opposite. This explains why Sergeant
Number 27.
Holman, number 27. This explains why Sergeant Holman initially attempted to hide the identity of the Purdue professor. See Frank number 2. This is the third one we're reading, is the Frank's number 3.
That's what I was saying a little bit earlier, in the fact that how they were trying to act like they didn't know who this guy was, where he was. They couldn't really remember much about him. They couldn't find any of his stuff. They knew exactly who this was, and they knew exactly what he said.
And they didn't think,
and they buried it. They buried it.
And they didn't think Rossi and Baldwin, as public defenders, would buck the system. And they did. And I'm thankful for them, because see something, say something. This is okay, going on. And then attempted to conceal Turco's actual words in Holman's September 22nd, 2023 report that, quote, it was a given that someone was trying to replicate a Germanic runic script, and that it was entirely plausible that a person believed that human sacrifices involved the use of runes. You guys.
In the defense's, this is number 28 there, in the defense's counsel's experience, some lawyers simply don't listen to a tape recording of an interview, but rather rely on the veracity of police reports. This is exactly what Ann Taylor set up on this in court and said, yeah, we would like to go by what you guys said in this report, but we want to, where's the recordings of this? We have to listen to this. We investigate the investigators. Okay.
And this is
what I did with the Drake case.
Yes. Lana's really exceptionally good. And that's not a thing for lawyers. Obviously, even Rossi and Baldwin are saying that this is a normal thing. Some lawyers don't do this. That's why they have investigators who do this if they don't.
You always, the report, you guys, you have an interview that lasted 30 minutes and you have a report that's one page that has 4 paragraphs summarizing little clippets. And that's also just going to be, that's subjective.
Yes, it's someone's interpretation
of what they would think is important.
Yes.
That's somebody. And when you have a television, okay, or you're not good, if you're just, when you're flat out shit, like when you're not good. So I'm actually changing, I want to change the word. And then when they want to say that this is corruption, you guys, I'm telling you, a lot of police officers, they went into the academy when they were younger. They didn't go to college. They have minimal education. To be honest, they graduated high school. Okay. And here they went into the police academy. All right. Well, here in the police academy, you're supposed to be trained, but you can't train common sense. You can't train, like, sorry.
Okay, but this is more about Moscow. I mean, sorry. This is more about
in general. I just think that you're dealing with. You have to look at whoever is the provider of the information.
Well, at 28, what Rossi and Baldwin are actually saying is it's a lot of attorneys don't do this, but hey, we did. And so this is more falling on the attorneys to do their due diligence and look at every piece that's in discovery. It's very important, as you guys have seen Lana's work product and how she works, and you guys see what's found by actually going through. And there's more attorneys who are incompetent, in my opinion, than the good ones out there. I'm criminal defense attorneys. So it's amazing to see some amazing ones.
Number 29. In this very case, for example, Brad Holder's February 17, 2017 videotape statements was purportedly erased.
You guys remember this? If you guys missed this, when we reported on this, big news, here it is again. Do you guys understand? Look at that date. How many days after?
Only a short report memorializing that taped interview exists. Therefore, the defense is being forced to rely entirely on the words and context the author of that interview chose to include in that report, rather than the entirety of the actual words uttered by Holder. So what they're doing right now is they are comparing to say, you want us to go off of what somebody wrote in a report, where we're going to show you that the report that they memorialized of Jeffrey Turco, look at what they did.
Look what Holman did.
Now look at, and when you want to look at Brad Holder's, now we're showing you that this is unreliable report.
Beautiful.
This is
And
unreliable
beautifully
reporting.
done. Beautifully strung together, creating a foundation in the Franks and taking us through this voyage of where they're heading. And we can see it perfectly here.
Therefore,
It's probably the
the
way.
defense.
You're right.
Oh, I'm
here.
sorry. The way that Jerry Holman memorialized his interview with Turco detailed above should cause alarm about what law enforcement chose to include or not to include in their reports. The tape recording is the best evidence.
You heard?
The best evidence rule, guys. What Brad Holder shared with investigators in his February 17, 2017 interview, but the authors chose to leave out, even innocently not knowing what was important at the time. That's what I just got done saying. Like, you don't know.
You don't know what second eyes or third eyes will
You
see.
just don't know what's important at the time, because it just isn't it just started kicking off an investigation where you're just gathering facts at that point. You're not investigating yet.
100%.
That would be a point of just gathering the information.
Could be exculpatory.
Could be exculpatory in nature or lead to exculpatory evidence exonerating Richard Allen. However, at this time, we are expected to simply accept that the words written by the authors of Holder's erased interview provide the full gamut of information needed to protect Richard Allen's rights. Again, Holman's memorialization of Jeffrey Turco's words in this case should cause grave concern to this court as it relates to any erased videotaped interviews.
And I agree. And I know that, defense does play, some word games, and they do, like every defense. But I'm sorry, if this doesn't raise eyebrows for Judge Gull, that there's a freaking problem. In a county where corruption is at its height and they're questioned about it, in an unprecedented investigation where everything was kept so close to the vest, transparency is paramount at this point. And if you have the right man, you guys, do it the right way. If Richard Allen is guilty, you have the evidence. You don't need to fake stuff. You don't need to hide exculpatory evidence.
So basically 29, they're saying, and they're using Turco's interview and the report. When compared to the report, you're seeing a huge discrepancy. It's a huge contradiction. Fuck a discrepancy. You wrote the opposite, motherfucker, okay? And you wrote the opposite. And so what the lawyers are showing here is that every interview or police report that does not have an interview, like an audio interview, fuck that report. And that's key. And guess whose other report is like that? Patrick Westphal. If no one listened to Turco's actual words spoken to Holman on that videotape, or audio tape rather, then Holman's deceptive memorialization or memorialized report would leave the reader with an entirely different perspective than what Turco's words actually revealed. 31, as it relates to Franks, the defense is required to show that law enforcement acted intentionally. Okay. That's what they have to do when including false information in the affidavit or when omitting important information from the affidavit. And they went ahead and if this gets denied to not have this Franks hearing, I think Gull will be investigated. You cannot deny this. It meets the definition now completely. 32. it would be highly unlikely that Liggett would admit, I intentionally omitted important information from the affidavit, and I also intentionally included false information in the affidavit. Also, I wrote the affidavit with a reckless disregard for the truth. If the standard to get to a Franks hearing, it's all about the law, guys, so it just has to meet the thresholds. It has to meet the statute. So here, if the standard to get to a Franks hearing is that law enforcement must admit that they acted intentionally or recklessly, then a Franks hearing is a legal fiction, as no law enforcement officer will make such admissions. Boom. Couldn't have said it better myself. So again, they're getting ahead of Gull here in if she has a decision to make by saying, I believe by them saying this in this motion, saying if the standard to get a Franks hearing is that law enforcement must admit, that's never happening. Franks 1 and Franks 2 provided multiple examples of law enforcement concealing or attempting to conceal evidence and of law enforcement not telling the truth under oath, all backed up with exhibits that support those contentions.
And I'm sorry, I agree with this. And I'm sick of people saying that that isn't true.
Well, what's the standard? We're talking about the standard here. So, and I think that they've met it on this one now. So, no, I have that. No.
Okay, good.
In section 3, that's, in section 3 of the September 18th, 2023 Franks memorandum,
Which would be the second one, right? The second Franks that they put out.
the big one, the Big Daddy. Or no, that wouldn't be this. That would be, this is the first one. The defense provided irrefutable evidence that Liggett provided false information in his affidavit concerning the words that Sarah Carbaugh spoke face-to-face with Tony Liggett in 2017 when describing the man she saw on the road just before 4 p.m. Liggett told Judge Diener that the man Carbaugh observed was the same man Betsy Blair
They're so good.
observed on the Moon High Bridge approximately 2 hours earlier. The problem was that what Carbaugh told Liggett in 2017 concerning this man's description was not the same as Betsy Blair's description, i.e. Liggett did not tell the truth.
Beautiful. Just explain like I'm 5 for a Gull with that IE. And if Hennessy helped to write this, I would totally get it because that is a Hennessy move right there.
The defense would ask the court to reread, this is the Gull. Hey ho. The defense, hey honorable ho. The defense would ask the court to reread section 3. Reread section 3 now. In its entirety.
You might have skipped that 37.
No, I read that. Oh, wait, maybe I didn't read 37. Let me back up. Liggett then misrepresented Carbaugh's words so that they were consistent with Blair's description, and then, for good measure, added that Carbaugh observed blood on the man walking on the road, when that is not what she told Liggett to his face in 2017. Now, this is what I was asking you, and I said about these witnesses,
100%.
and you're like, would you ask, the man that you saw that day, is he present in the courtroom?
Right.
I mean, just remember that?
No, totally.
Okay.
I think that that's a good move for the defense. I think if you're the state, I'll say it again because it's what if you're the state, you're going to be dumb. But I think that they put incredible amounts of pressure on Carbaugh and Blair.
You were saying that that you believe that these witnesses believe that it's Richard Allen, and I'm telling you, I don't believe that they think that.
Okay, either they believe it's Richard Allen or they're afraid to stand up and buck the system. And I don't blame somebody who is living in Delphi, presumably, and having to deal with these people that if that's their narrative and they have to get on a stand and say something, not everybody's brave.
Okay, well, moving on. The defense would ask the court to reread section 3 in its entirety and also to review the attached exhibits to the September 18, 2023 Franks memo that provided the absolute proof that Liggett misrepresented Carbaugh's words.
And what's interesting is it was in the state's drop motions this past week, and they repeated those words that Liggett wrote and attributed to Carbaugh.
Okay, number 39. The defense would ask the court to reread section 3 in its entirety and also to review the attached exhibits that provide evidence that Liggett omitted crucial information concerning Betsy Blair's description of the man she observed from only 50 feet away on the high bridge, as well as the description of a vehicle found at the CPS lot after she left the trail that does not match any of Richard Allen's vehicles.
Thank you.
Again, this is my opinion, is that none of these witnesses, and they are pissed, they don't believe I believe that they're going to be saying that that's not what we said and that's not who we saw, period.
I think in the beginning,
Nobody ever talked to these people. They were buried. They were not, remember in the Franks, he was bringing up that none of these people were ever re-interviewed. None of these people were ever talked to again. In fact, the witnesses, these girls, they were so pissed in terms of like, wait a second, I did my sketch. Why aren't they putting it out there? Why aren't they putting it out there? And then when the first sketch came out, the one girl was like, that's not my sketch. Like, what the hell? It was, so I'm so waiting for those girls when they take the stand and what they have to say, because if you think that they're state witnesses, y'all have lost your minds.
I want to see.
They are not state witnesses.
If the state has the gonads, if the state has the gonads to put them on, or the defense,
they have no choice. They have no choice. But this is what's going to be great about it. They ain't state witnesses. They ain't state witnesses. They are 100% defense witnesses, and the state is shitting their pants.
I think they're cocky enough to not be pooping yet.
And the only way that you get to these witnesses to testify some type of way, okay? And even if you get them to testify some type of way, then on cross-examination, they're going to use the statements that they told police originally to say, you never said this. But now today you're saying that, you know? So it's impeachment material. This is going to like,
and once again, reliability.
Right to a speedy trial. Right to
reliability.
Richard Allen has been in horrible conditions, an innocent man.
Insane conditions.
And Richard Allen, so long as he stays alive, is going to sue the fuck out of
Carroll County,
the whole damn gang. Yeah,
and then Allen County,
everybody.
And I hope Gull, but I think Gull would be protected. But yes.
So, and then how about, and then these are just sly digs at Gull, and I love it. The defense would ask the court to reread the rest of the Franks 1 and 2 in order to gain perspective on the many instances of law enforcement not telling the truth or attempting to conceal evidence and the truth. This third Franks notice provides additional evidence of omitted information of which Judge Diener should have been advised concerning 3 phones shown to be moving in and around the crime scene at a time when law enforcement would state the murders were being committed. That's their theory. That's their timeline. There is no changing this.
I love that they keep putting that in, and that is so important. And anyone that is,
I can't wait till we find out whose 3 phones these are.
Oh, well, I think we have an idea.
I don't know.
Now they would have to prove that those 3 phones were not in those 3 people's possessions at the time.
I can't wait. Number 42, this third Franks notice provides additional evidence that good old Jer Bear Sergeant Holman's sworn deposition testimony was false concerning the findings of the Purdue professor, as Turco's own words confirm in a September 19th, 2023 interview, because he then was interviewed by the defense.
So I want to know, in this kind of situation, what happens to somebody like Sergeant Holman?
Well, that's criminal. This is criminal.
This should be criminal.
It's perjury.
And so while we're dealing with this, when this is all done, said and done, these officers need to be held accountable because they make a bad name and rep for all police officers throughout the country that are doing good work. This is a disgrace to the memory of Abby and Libby.
Well, let me tell you something. When you want to talk about good police doing good work, where has there been any police officer that has come forward, that's the good ones, coming forward and speaking up for what they know? That's what good people do. They do the hard thing. The right thing is usually never the easiest thing, okay?
Well, I think once the
So we want to
evidence
talk
is
about all
out-
these good officers. Well, where are the good officers within that
I think
county?
within that county.
No, just listen. Within that county that would have knowledge of something, that actually have the cahoons, because that's what good people do.
That's click.
Okay, yep. Okay.
And
And I'm saying even now, right now, there's got to be more than just one good person
Well,
and
there was
click.
somebody else
Okay.
in- But you see how.
So
this is
where
my
are these
opinion.
good cops?
They get
Come on
killed.
down. I don't think they would get killed. Go public. Go
They
public.
went public and got killed. That's
Go
my opinion
public.
only. Click's partner who uncovered all this.
Whistleblow. You are
was
a
killed.
government official. You're whistleblow. You are protected.
Do you see what Gull is doing?
I don't-
You want this or this?
That's right.
What, water?
Thank
You
you.
can take my water.
Moving on.
Okay, go on to 43.
This third Frank's notice provides additional evidence of law enforcement's intentionality of concealing evidence as Sergeant Holman, September 22nd, 2023, report attempted to conceal the actual words of Jeffrey Turco. Again, Sergeant Holman had sworn under oath that Turco did not find Odinism. You're going to see in a lot of their motions that you guys, they repeat a lot of things that they say.
And it seems
Okay.
like they have to.
So,
Explain like I'm 5 to Gull.
yeah, it was in Holman's best interest, therefore, to admit or water down much of Turco's own words in his report, which is exactly what Holman did. And they're saying that that was in his best interest, in Holman's best interest.
Yeah.
And you have to ask that question: why does Holman have a fucking interest? Period.
Exactly. Why is he not unbiased and just taking where the truth leads him, where the investigation leads him?
But those words that he has an interest, well, that tells you that he's involved if he has an interest. Nobody has an interest in something that they're not interested in. Number 44, the defense is asking, based upon the third Frank's notice, as well as the other Frank's notices, to set this matter for a fucking
And
hearing,
we've been waiting.
to argue that all fruits of the search of Richard Allen's home be suppressed.
It's going on 5. We're
Be
about 5 months.
suppressed.
5 months of waiting, you guys. That's where we're at least.
This is all about getting everything. The search warrant is bogus. Everything about it is bogus. Okay. And that's what the Franks is for, is to say anything and everything you think you took out of that house, it's fruit of the poisonous tree. Bye-bye. It's gone. Okay. Regardless of what it is. And it could be like nothing. And, you know, bye-bye. But you're not able to use it. Okay. And this does not mean, oh my God, see, the defense is trying to hide something. No, they're protecting Richard Allen's rights. They're protecting our rights. These cops can't do this shit. They cannot make up shit. They cannot bury shit. And we got guys out there that are protecting our rights. These are our rights just as much as they are Richard Allen's rights. And if you have a problem with that, you are fucking delusional.
It's also the state doing the same thing as well. And everybody in Indiana, when the first Franks hit, I thought that everyone in Indiana, the whole state would be really upset. And there would be like a little bit of disruption, but everyone's quiet. You guys, this is not okay. We are Americans. This is what we do.
The good cops, you know how, what's his name said it? Baldwin said, hey, journalists, this is your time right now. Hey, good cops, this is your time right now. This is your time to do, if you're a good cop, if you're one of the good guys and you know something, say something. You're protected. Go public, talk to the defense.
Talk to the journalists also. You journalists out there, do what's right. Report on this. Okay? That's why YouTube is so important in this matter, because you are not bound by your advertisers and you're not owned by the 3 media conglomerate.
Where's breaking news Nation? Where's
They'll talk about it.
let's see when they talk about it. Let's see when they talk about it.
But it's not going to be same thing.
Let's see. Additionally, the defense requests that on this serious matters raised in Franks 1, 2, and 3, as well as the exhibits that back up those matters, the court issues findings of facts and conclusions of law as to how and why the court ruled in whatever manner it rules on the defense request. Remember last time, all Gall did was she just denied it and did not set it for a hearing, and there was nothing. It was one sentence.
Right. And
Like, that's not going to fly.
what I keep hearing, because I like to know what people who don't agree with the way I think, where they're coming from. And all I keep hearing from them is all of these Franks are just BS motions that they're just doing for PR and publicity. And you guys are just on YouTube are picking it up and just spreading it like wildfire. And it has no basis in fact. Listen, the biggest place to try something for truth is in a courtroom. That's why you have receipts and keep receipts. It's for a courtroom. So if you're not allowed to have a hearing on this, who's to say that this isn't fact?
She has to put on the record why she is denying this. There has to be an order set out to, like, your little one sentence isn't, no, sorry. Also, I'm going to say it. Where's the families? Okay. We're out here fighting for 2 little girls that were murdered. Okay. If that was my kid, my niece, if I had any relation to that child, what the defense is just telling you here is there were 3 phones there, not 1, 3 during the time of the murder, the time at law enforcement. Where are the families coming out and grabbing a damn microphone after reading this and either calling out these defense attorneys for being reckless if this is all lies, or start demanding some fucking answers?
Right.
Where's the families? Where are the families? The families should be outraged. The families should be marching down and suing the fuck out of everybody.
All of the whole county, the whole state of Indiana needs to be outraged. It's your tax dollars at work that's doing this. If there's even a smidge of evidence that there could have been a ritualistic killing out there of these 2 young babies.
But this is what we have. We have Gray Hughes pushing some fucking narrative. Okay, pushing some narrative. Think about this. Producing Kelsey German's podcast, okay, and gawking and cackling and thinking that we're all crazy for talking and that the defense is wildly making these crazy accusations and putting wild stuff in motions. There's 3 phones at the crime scene at the time that law enforcement said that the murders were happening.
Well,
what is Gray Hughes going to say about that?
Gray Hughes gives credit and credence to blood that Betsy said there's blood, or Carval said there's blood on Rich, and it's Richard Allen. So his whole thing is
no.
Yeah,
I want to know I want to talk about the phones. Gray Hughes, what are you saying about these phones? What are you going to come out and say? This is geofencing. This is everything that you were talking about this whole time with this case. That's your baby. Well, I'm calling you out right now. I want to know, what are you going to say about these 3 phones? Do you think this geofencing and the evidence here that actually was found by law enforcement, and they did a map and they plotted it and then they buried it, what do you think about it? Are you just going to say that this is a fluff piece, that the defense is just crazy and, they're doing all these tactics and blah, blah, blah? What are you going to say about this? And what you should be saying is, whose phones are these?
Mm-hmm.
Whose phones are these?
You should be saying, let's see a hearing. That's what everyone should be seeing.
Let's see a hearing. Let's find out whose phones these are. If we want everybody involved, okay? Let's even say that you still think Richard Allen was involved. Well, doesn't it look like there might be some other people? So if you say that you can recreate, 3D this, and you're such a great investigator, well, guess what? There's 3 phones that were there. Tell me whose 3 phones. You're such a great investigator. Whose 3 phones those belong to? Who was in the woods 60 to 100 yards around and circling that crime scene during the time of 12:39 to 5:49? Who was it? What 3 phones? Was 1 person carrying 3 phones? Were 2 people carrying, one had 1, one had 2, because they're drug dealers, so they had multiple phones? Who do those phones belong to? What's going on? And these are the tough questions. Fuck your softball bullshit. I'm not throwing up softballs anymore. Abby and Libby were murdered, and these 2 families should be outraged, period. And a YouTuber who has been promoting these families should be outraged and should be live right now, going like, holy shit, oh my God, what the F? So there it is. Can't wait to see what happens from it. But this is not fluff piece. What it looks like to me is that there's murderers and multiple of them.
And listen, if it is a fluff piece, for those that think it is, you should be so excited to make Rossi and Baldwin look like fools, right? So let's see the evidence. Why are we ignoring evidence when there's been 2 girls murdered? We can't. So moving on. Let me see that page. Let me see that 1-page one. I want to just show everybody this really quick because it made me giggle. And I think we're in the time to get something to, yes, Hennessy. Okay, here we go. Go ahead, Elo. This is this was dropped today.
Yeah, go ahead and show a couple of these and I want to wrap this up.
This
2:10.
one, I want you to read this and I want to hear your reaction and then chat's reaction to this.
Okay, so this was dropped. You guys can see it was e-filed there 3/13 at 2:23 p.m.
Right here.
Supplement to verified. Yeah, I think they must have a PP. You done with OPP? Supplement to verified emergency motion for continuance. Comes now counsel for defense counsel and supplements with the fact he had a lot going on and was rushed, which led him omitting that Mr. McLeland objects to a continuance, which he does.
I died.
What is this?
Hennessy with the big dick drop. I love it. Hennessy's my man. I love that guy.
Wait a second. Let's back it all the way
Please
up.
read it again then.
I can't right now. Hold on. Okay. So, state of Indiana, here we are. This is a supplement to verified emergency motion for continuance. All right. So, this is about the leak. This is about the contempt hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Comes now counsel for defense counsel and supplements with the fact he had a lot going on and was rushed, which led to him omitting that Mr. McLeland objects to a continuance, which he does.
Nikki boy objects. Now listen, all they wanted was like a week, you guys. That's it. Just a week. Okay. And yes, so I just love Hennessy's big dick energy. I love that he does this.
Big dick energy.
I mean, absolutely. And so I'll forgive him being even a copy editor that he spelled supplement wrong. Go with your bad self.
And that's the note we want to end on there.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
I mean, like what?
There are more things dropped. I'll make a CP and drop a couple things.
Well, yeah, I want to talk about this again tonight. So I just wanted to get everybody get their whistles wet because I'm going to put together a little intro video where I take clips of what everyone has been saying over the past 7 years about this case.
I'd like for you to take the
well, now we're actually getting to some good shit here. We got some phones that were at the crime scene at the time of the crime. 3 phones. Who do they belong to? And I mean, this is breaking news. This is how we're. Whew.
Yeah, we should do another live because there were a few documents dropped yesterday and today.
Law enforcement, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Nick McLeland, what the F? Judge Gull, what the F are you doing?
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And then family, get vocal.
Indiana, get vocal, please. Please. Back these witnesses who are trying to do the right thing. Back anyone who's going for the
I'll be
truth.
there March 18th. I'll get vocal. Let me know where Nancy Grace is popping up her table. Come on, Nancy. Come on. There are 2 little pussies out there. Facts. Mainstream media, they got to answer to people.
Yes. They have advertisers. They do.
All right, guys. We will see you back a little bit later this evening. But please go check out. I just dropped the episode 1 of the Drake podcast. So those of you guys that really want to get involved and know the case, it starts from the beginning. And it's in a podcast form. There are some parts of it that you can see the visuals, but you can listen to it at work. You can listen to it while you're going to bed.
She did a great job, you guys.
So please please go check out.
If mods want to drop the link in chat, if not, if there's no chance to do that, then
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation.